Welcome to this quirky town. Our main character is a 30-year-old middle schooler. He's studying and aims to be the school's enemy. These daily adventurous Rico students were seeing dreams for the standardized test over a decade ago. Suddenly, a massive dinosaur roar shattered the town's tranquility, and the entire place got swept up in this angry dinosaur party. In the dazzling light, they felt like they flipped back to page 1 of the study material, but this time, excitement was nowhere to be found. Life's a game of chess. No one talks about it anymore, but they've all gotten used to it. Ever since that science experiment, this town turned upside down. Time here seems to have hit the pause button. Everyone becomes a fountain of youth, but this isn't quite friendly for the older folks. Pregnant moms stroll unfazed. Carefree motherhood syndrome is trending. Although they look like middle schoolers, their minds have been stuck in traffic for over a decade. So, the townsfolk decided to continue with it. Some say humanity's excessive nature love trapped them in this town with a foggy truth. The explosion at the steel mill transformed their lives into a never-ending rerun of boredom. In search of surprises, they agreed to deport Adventure Ideal's high reality flat. With no thoughts, he just leapt from 2 stories. Authentic was left dumbfounded. As he leaped, a sharp pain washed over him lesson learned in the art of jumping off stuff. This monotonous life felt like an endless marathon, leaving Authentic utterly drained. His dad and uncle had breakfast together, both superheroes of the steel mill, often blurring the lines between work and life. The steel mill is fully automated. They just killed time for a paycheck. However, Authentic found his father's concern annoying since he always treated him like a child. The next day, the girls cooked up some mischief, stealing Yuko's shoes. It was like a classic scene from a teen drama. Authentic was tired of this ancient plot. He had seen it more times than reruns of his least favorite show. The pastor stood atop the school, oblivious to his crush. They knew not he was aware. As Authentic walked past, the pastor raised her skirt. Authentic turned beet red in an instant. He dashed hurriedly and found the missing dance shoe, which shockingly had the pastor's name on it. While this prank seemed fun, the key element was actually the choking games played by Authentic and his friends. Authentic followed him, ending up at the steel mill, truly an unexpected venue. The pastor's dad was the axe assistant, so he's been in charge after the explosion. They believed they had angered the deities, and all they needed to do was maintain the status quo to CP. Once timing was right, they could escape, as deities froze the town's time. The pastor ghosted into the steel mill with Authentic, leading him to a place called Fifth Blast Furnace. Suddenly, a girl jumped out of the shadows. Her bizarre movements left Authentic stunned. In the next second, she scared him to tears and then proceeded to sniff out his unique scent. This shocked him, as the girl bore a striking resemblance to the pastor, and then she quietly distanced herself. Their relationship was far too complex to explain quickly. This girl was actually introduced by the pastor's father as a pressure-relieving assistant. Authentic was puzzled by the girl's likeness and couldn't resist fate's mysterious guidance. He thought, whatever, as it seemed the pastor had long understood his feelings. Authentic was feeling vagrant. For some reason, he impulsively agreed. Back home, he felt a twinge of regret, but his mom asked him to take Grandpa to the town for a checkup. He might have lived for over 30 years, but his one adult privilege was driving. After all, the local old folks never age. Miss Cecilia Misaki was pregnant, and everyone was thrilled she had been waiting through the long pregnancy since before the steel mill exploded. Maybe after leaving town, the baby would arrive safely, but his father reminisced that evening. He had never paid attention until he bravely pursued his mother and even skipped class to accompany her. He had no regrets about any of it. That night was his dad's first time working a night shift in years, but he never returned home after that day. The next day, Authentic arrived at the Fifth Blast Furnace to find a handmade sweater and a trendy shoe on the couch. Upon seeing Authentic, the girl dashed over, seemingly wanting a bite of the food in his hands. Only then did he realize the girl could speak. He thought they were twins, but her every move was purely theatrical. After learning her name was the pastor, he decided to name her Washi, as she looked like the pastor and lived in the Fifth Blast Furnace. Upon finding out she had a name, Washi was over the moon and excitedly burst out of the Fifth Blast Furnace. This was Washi's first wild run. She was like a kid on candy and quickly climbed onto a train, looking dangerously energetic. But in reality, it was far from safe. Authentic's heart was racing, surprisingly starting to care about Washi's safety. Spotting her amusing demeanor, Authentic caught a spark of creativity, hurriedly grabbed a pen to draw, only to be caught by a passerby. The newcomers were Washi's father and Authentic's uncle, and from him, Authentic learned that Washi was a gift. He was the only one affected by time. Giving her to the deities would free them. After school, Authentic returned to the steel mill, bringing comic books along, thinking the girl disliked Washi. But he was mistaken. In reality, she treasured the handmade sweater Washi gifted her. Authentic was just eager to help her escape, but even that seemed futile. Escaping the town seemed